Hello, I'm Ruby from dottydelightful.com. I'm a zine maker, artist and mentor to amazing women. I love nature, magic and connectivity, and everything I do is to do with the seasons, to do with nature, our cycles, to connecting on a deeper level to all things. So I hope you enjoy my videos, and please don't forget to like and subscribe, as it helps other people to see the magic that I create. Hello loves, happy new year. It's 2025 already. I mean, what? It's crazy. Do you remember in 2020, just before it turned New Year, everybody was like, oh my gosh, something's going to happen because it's a millennium, and there were stickers on people's computers saying turn them off before midnight, because we thought there was going to be a massive event, didn't we? And it never happened. Sorry, the dog's gone under the table. I don't know if it's because when I put my phone on to record, it makes like a doo-doo noise, but he can be fast asleep on the couch, and as soon as that noise comes, he gets up and starts messing around. So I don't know how you turn that noise off, but I think I'm going to have to look into it because it's really annoying. Yes, 2025. So it feels like the past week since Yule has been like a month. It's crazy, and I don't know if that's because we're trying to pack in as much as we possibly can before Tom goes back to work, or whether there's a fire in my belly for what I'm actually going to be doing this year. I think it's a little bit of both. Also, I have just been on moon time, so I am in that few weeks of having the energy and all that sparkle, and I need to remember this, because what'll happen is this will happen for a couple of weeks, and then the week before moon time I'll be like, what's wrong with me? Why am I so tired? Why have I got no energy? Why can I not do these things? So I need to remember that for the future, and I put a little reminder in my phone actually to tell me. So today, you'll see in the video, I went out with a real camera. So Tom's a photographer, and he had this camera first, and then he upgraded. Got a bit of fluff stuck to me. And then he upgraded to a different camera, and I've said to him for a while, please will you show me how to use a real camera, because I take everything on my phone and it's great, it is good, but this is just like a next level thing. Now, I'm not going to suddenly become a photographer and do all the stuff that Tom does, because he spends hours editing his work and doing all things on the computer. I've got no interest in that. I don't want to be on the computer more than I am already. But I do want to see what kind of pictures I can get from a camera that I can't maybe get from my phone. So it's exciting. I've decided this year that I am going to really step into a year of creativity. Now, that might sound weird to somebody whose job is being creative, or it might sound weird to somebody that's on the outside looking in, like you maybe, because it looks like I am creative a lot, and I am, but mainly it's for my business, and mainly it's for my work. And there's a difference in doing it for your work and your business and doing it for yourself. So this year I want to step more into learning new things in creativity. I've spent a lot of time learning things mentally and spiritually. I think I mentioned that in another video. And now I want to start learning more things creatively again. So using a real camera is one of them. Going on a felt making course is another one that starts in January, and then in February I'm going on a natural dye course, dyeing fabric and not I've already done some natural dyeing at home on my own, just little bits of it, but this is a much bigger, and it's going to be really exciting. So that's really nice, and I would like to do some more, but I'm not planning too far ahead. I'm just going to be open to what comes, and I really would love to go this year on an art retreat where I could go somewhere, or a creative retreat where I could go somewhere and learn something from somebody else. So it's a weird thing when you do your own workshops and put your own events on. It's a really weird position to be in, to become the student again. And I'd really like to do that. I'd really like to be the student again in learning something. Now, I don't know what that looks like or what that could be. I'm completely open to whatever that is. But I would really like to call that in for this year. It's a funny thing, isn't it? Because it is the new year in the Gregorian calendar. It's the made up year, let's be honest. It's not actually the new year. We're still in the middle of winter. It's still cold. It's dark. We need to be slow. We need to honour our cycles and nature's cycles. And if you look out at nature now, she's asleep. She's asleep, and she's not ready to wake up and make all these resolutions and goals and be like, I'm going to start a fitness regime, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But what I do like about this time is planting seeds of intention. So the seeds of intention that you plant now will start coming up in the spring, will start just coming out in the spring. And the other thing about that is I don't want to overwork myself in these winter months either. So I have got a workshop booked in for January and February for me to go and be present at. And it's slow. It's work that's going to be relaxing and valuable. So it's not that I am booked in to do something that's going to require a lot of energy or brain power. I think that's the most important thing for me to carry on in the vein that I am doing, and just really honour that. I do honour the seasons anyway, but this is, it feels like a deeper honouring. I also feel, I paused then because I thought this isn't the video to do it in, but maybe it is the video to do it in. So I was going to say, I've got this feeling that 2025 is going to be a year of, what is that called? What is that called? Where you are at, not a crossroads, because that's that, like two different paths, a junction maybe. You're probably shouting at the screen now, it's this thing. I feel like we're at this junction, let's call it a junction, a pathway, a crossing point where you can go one way or you can go the other. And I feel like a lot of people in the world are going to be going one pathway or going the other. This is just my opinion. From what I've read, from what I feel, from what I've noticed over the past few years, and I think there's been a slight, I don't want to say division, not a division, a slight separation over the past few years anyway, but I think this year it's going to be huge. And I want to, and I'm going to be on the path that is more connected to what's actually important and what's actually true. So what's important and true for me is that connection to nature. that connection to the seasons, the connection to our cycles, to honouring ourselves in every moment that we can. I'm not going on the path that is to, I was going to say to destruction. That's a Megadeth album. Is it a Megadeth album? The Path to Destruction. There's something to destruction. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't want to be on this path where it's all about what you can buy, what you can own, what profit you can make, in the way of it's all about a commercial, mainstream kind of path. I don't want to be on that path anymore. I want to be on this natural path where everything feels like you're in tune, so you're in tune to source, whatever that may be for you. You're in tune to the earth, and you're in tune to your own needs, and you can say, I am fully honouring these needs this year, because I think the other path is going to feel a lot harder for a lot of people, because it's a fake, false way of being. And it started to come in the Industrial Revolution. Time came in with the Industrial Revolution, the time like on a clock to get workers to work. And that time on the clock, it doesn't exist. It only exists because somebody at one point said it did, and people bought into that. And the same with money. Money are pieces of paper. I could say to you, from now on, these business cards of mine are worth £50 each. Now, if everybody in the collective thought that was true and started trading these for £50 each, that would become the norm. So there's a lot of things which we have been taken away from our natural path of being into this other path. And I think what's happening all over is a crumbling of this, a crumbling of what's not actually real and what's not actually for ourselves and our highest good. And for me, creativity is a massive part of that. Tom and I went out today, and on the way back we was chatting about things like we do in the car, and Tom said everybody needs creativity, but not everybody thinks they're creative. And he said, look at kids. And I said, any child, you can give any child pens and paper and they'll draw. They won't question it. They won't be like, why are you giving me that? I'm not creative. They just do it. And I think as adults, a lot of adults lose that because they think that they need to do it in a certain way. That's a whole nother video. Try and get back on track. Try and get back on my path. So, yeah, I think there's going to be more of a bigger splitting of different things. And that can feel quite scary sometimes if you don't fully trust in yourself. So I think that's a really important thing to say. A lot of people go on a different path through fear because they've been told certain things, and they think somebody's an authority over them, when actually you're your own authority over yourself. So that's really important to mention. And with that, with those thoughts about what the year's going to be like, I've really thought about what I want my year to be like. Do I want to sit down in the evening and watch Netflix and movies? I like watching Netflix and movies. Don't get me wrong, I don't not like it. I do like it. But do I want to spend my precious life doing that, when actually I could spend my precious life doing other things, like painting, like reading, like researching? This week I've been on Pinterest, and I've gone down such a rabbit hole of different things, from chapbooks to was Jesus a mushroom? I mean, it sounds crazy, but there's so many things. Chrism oil, there's loads of things, and all these things you might be like, what is she on about? Just start looking at things, just have a little Google and a little research if you're interested in them. And there's so many different things, and it's been a really lovely way to start the new year. So I could talk for ages about all of this, but I'm very aware that my dinner's ready, and I'm very aware that I don't want to bore you by going on and on and on and going all over the houses and background again. So what I want to say is, do you remember those books? I can't remember what they were called. They were books when I was a child in the 80s, and in them you had different options. So you read the story and you had two different options, I think two, to choose from. And if you picked option 1, you went to page whatever, and if you picked option 2, you went to a different page. And that's how the story interweaved until you got to the end. Do you remember those books? I do, and this is what I feel like 2025 is. 2025 is one of those books where at the first page of it, which path are we going to take? Which page are we going to jump to? Are we going to leap ahead? Are we going to take the safe route? Are we going to do the scary route, the easy route? What are we going to do? That's what it feels like to me, and it's very exciting. So without further ado, here is this week's vlog, and I also want to say thank you for being here. I appreciate every single one of your comments, I really do, and your emails. I've had some fantastic emails the past couple of weeks, so thank you. I do tippy tap on the floor. I do appreciate it, and have a wonderful week, and I'll see you soon. According to Feng Shui, the furthest left corner in your home from your front door is your abundance corner. This is my corner, which is by the cooker, and I have some bells which I rattle around to move the energy. I've cleaned all this area, I've put a new quote on the board, and it's all ready for a new year. I'm making a simple curry. It's really easy and cheap to make a veggie curry, and just chopping some onions. And I thought I'd show you some top tips that I've learned along the way. So you know, like onions make you cry when you cut them and really sting your eyes. If you actually put something wet on your chopping board, like my sponge is wet from the sink, or a flannel, it's all the stuff goes from the onions into that, and it doesn't go into your eyes, because the stuff, I can't remember what it's called, is attracted to moisture, and because your eyes are the moisture, it normally goes to them. So if you have something wet on your chopping board, it stops you from crying. How good is that? My other top tip for you is, when you are peeling garlic, to do it easily. Get the end where it's like woody and chop it off. And as you can see, I was trying to chop too close there. So you chop the end off, and then what you do is, when you've chopped the end off, you bash it down with your knife, and that makes it easier to peel. So I've speeded this bit up because I'll be here all day. But basically you need onions and garlic and some really nice herbs and spices. And you can pick whatever spices you want. I always add turmeric. Turmeric's good for inflammation. And I always add things like ginger and warming spices like cumin, cinnamon. I've got a blend here of a curry powder blend, but you can make your own as well. Sometimes I do things for quickness, and other times I do it slowly. So today, that's a bit too much pepper. Today I was making this curry, and I used the curry blend because I didn't have as much time as normal. I'm also going to add some of these organic lentils. So everything that you'll see in my videos has got brands on them, and I'm not endorsing any of these. Unless I say I'm endorsing something, I'm not. It's just what I've bought from the shop. So just ignore that. You get your own green lentils. I recommend organic ones just because they've got less pesticides on them. And I always use filtered water. We're looking at getting a better water filter soon. And then I'm just peeling up some sweet potatoes. We watched a programme last night about Japan and Okinawa, I can't say it. I can't remember what it's called. The place where they did Karate Kid. Okinawa. Oh my goodness. My friend Julia, she used to live in Japan, so if she's watching this, she'll be like, what are you on about? So ignore that. But we saw this place in Japan, and they've got the highest rates for people to live. So like loads of people live over 100 there, and they all eat sweet potatoes, the purple sweet potatoes, but they're really good for you. So I didn't have any cream or coconut milk, so I'm just using a little bit of oat milk and some ground almonds in this curry as well. It's just really simple. You can use whatever veg you've got. It doesn't matter what it is, and you just cook it, and it's blooming delicious. We had this for 2 nights, and then the last time we made soup with it as well. We blended it up because there was not very many chunky bits left, and we had soup. So it is really good. And putting all this stuff in my pan, I will then cook the rest of it in the Wonder Bag once this pan is boiling. I'm making a delicious apple crumble. Oh my goodness, I love crumbles. But I'm not very good at making them, to be honest. And I went on to the BBC Good Food Guide, and I got a recipe there for a vegan apple crumble. And the crumble topping, oh my gosh, it was the best one I've ever made. So I do highly recommend that one. I also found out recently that citrus fruit, I know I'm not using citrus fruit in this, I'm using apples, but citrus fruit are now coated with something, and I don't, it's not wax, it's a fungicide, And if you look at the labels on citrus fruits, it'll say treated with, and then it's got this big long word that begins with a PH. And you don't want that. It's a fungicide. It's really bad for you. So try and avoid it if you can. Look at this. Look at the inside. Look at the pattern. Isn't nature amazing? Like, oh, just take a moment to notice how beautiful it is. Because it's winter and the light goes probably about 3:30, 4:30. It gets really dark and it feels like nighttime. So my top tip is make your work area, wherever that is, really beautiful and cosy. So I've actually added some fairy lights to the kitchen. It does look a little bit darker on here than what it was in real life. And Tom came down, he was like, "Oh my God, can you see?" And I was like, "Yes, it's pretty. Don't put the big light on." So yeah, I advise that if you're feeling that horrible feeling about it being winter really early and it's long, jazz your space up with candles, fairy lights, all things pretty. And here's the crumble. Oh my God, it was good. We made the most of the good weather because it's been raining here for goodness knows how long. So as soon as it was dry, we was like, get in the car, quick, let's go. And we drove over to the bay. This is at Morecambe Bay, and you can see right over to the Lake District on a clear day. It's absolutely beautiful. Who needs to go on holiday when you've got this on your doorstep? I mean, it's just gorgeous. And I love it here because it's full of oyster catchers and lots of different birds. So that's my other top tip. If you're feeling a little bit down for winter, make sure that you get outside as much as you possibly can. We timed this so perfectly. It was about 2:30 and the light was just changing. It was so beautiful and so fresh. I mean, it was freezing cold, really, really cold and quite windy, but it was really beautiful. I've been changing my Patreon into something that's more sustainable for me and easier to manage. So I used to have many tiers with lots of different things on, and going ahead for this year I am just doing one box a month, and the box will include a print, an art print, a zine specifically for the month, some postcards, maybe some stickers and other bits and pieces that I create. And I was thinking about theming the boxes, making them into something where I could follow a pattern, but I know what I'm like. I don't actually like following patterns. So instead, an epiphany came to me. We were driving home at New Year from our friend's house, and it was quite late at night, and we saw 5 deer. Oh my God, it was magical. They were just next to the road, so Tom slowed right down. I couldn't get any footage because my camera and phone were in the boot of the car. We just looked at them. Oh, they were gorgeous. And another day we went for a walk at Williamson's Park. You'll see that in the last video where we saw all the mushrooms. And I thought, do you know what? Why don't I paint monthly what I see, what I discover in nature? So this painting is inspired by that. It's inspired by the deer that we saw, by the oyster mushrooms, the jelly ear mushrooms, the moss. Obviously, there's got to be moss in there. And the ivy that's out in abundance. So this is what this painting is all about. And these will be turned into art prints for the Patreon boxes. If you want to learn any more about the Patreon boxes, there is going to be a link to my Patreon in the description. So do check it out. I'm using a combination of paints, just in case you're interested. I'm using gouache, which is really nice for a thick, kind of intense colour. I'm also using some watercolour, and I've used both on this whole canvas. And this canvas was already black. It's the first time I've painted on a black canvas. I actually loved it. I thought it was brilliant. It saves you having to paint the background in. I thought it would be harder than what it was because I'm used to painting on white canvases that I colour myself, but it was actually fantastic. So if you're an artist and you haven't tried painting on a black canvas, do have a little go because it is really good. It was so beautiful. This was like the perfect day. I'd had a really nice dinner, I'd been out to the beach, and I was painting, and I just thought, do you know what, I'm just so content. I'm so happy and content right now, and it's a beautiful feeling. It is really lovely. And yes, of course, there's always more that you can strive for. You know, it's always a thing where I'd love a forever home, but right now I'm content. I'm really grateful and blessed to be living this life, and I have changed lots of things to get to this point. And it was almost like this day when I was painting, I just realised how far I've actually come and how I've changed things so I can do this work. And it just feels so magical, really, really magical. And I just wanted to share that with you because I think a lot of the time we're always trying to think of the future, always trying to think of what's coming next, how to be successful, how to get more, how to, you know, have more sales if you run your own business, how to get more customers, all that kind of thing. And actually just pausing and just being grateful for how far you've come is just amazing, really amazing. There's lots of people that I see on YouTube and on social media, and they'll be saying things like my 10 grand month as an artist and stuff like that, and I'm not calling any of them out or anything like that, but I think because there's so many like that, it's easy to become disillusioned because you're not there yet. I'm not there yet. And it is hard sometimes to keep motivated when you see things like that. So I really wanted to just say, you know, we all live different lives and we all get to choose what kind of life that we live. Obviously, there's lots of different circumstances. Right now, all my children are grown up, so I don't have little ones to look after. I had them when I was very young, so now I'm in my 40s. It's like I've got that freedom to be able to do that. So I know that I've got friends that have got little children. They find it really difficult to take this time to paint. So I'm not saying that, you know, everything's perfect for everybody, but what I'm saying is just be content with where you are right now, because one day you will be at the place that you dreamed about, and I'm at the place that I dreamed about. I get to paint. I get to sit there for hours if I want to and paint, and what a beautiful gift that is to share with the world. I like to take reference photos when I'm out and about walking. I have tried painting outside, drawing outside, and I just can't seem to get comfy or have the right equipment. So it's not something that I find natural and easy. So instead I take lots of reference photos when I'm out of these are oyster mushrooms, which I found growing on a massive log. And I find that easier, so when I'm at home I can just use these reference photos for painting from. And I think that's a really good thing. If you're starting off on this journey of being an artist, or you're getting back into your creativity, wherever you go, take photos. So I always think artists are like detectives. We have detective eyes. We see things. We see the light. We see shadows. We see old buildings. We see things that a lot of people miss because they're just going from one place to another, where artists are always looking up and down and in grids and behind walls and all sorts of things. And if you start building up a collection of photographs of the things that you see when you're out and about, then you will always have a collection of reference photos. And sometimes I even get my photos printed. So there's an app that you can get. I'm on an iPhone, so I don't know if you can get it on an Android. It's called Free Prints. And each month you get a set of free prints. You do pay for postage, but they're really good because they come like, you know, the old-fashioned photos where you used to take your film to the shop and they come in an envelope and you can actually hold them in your hands. They come like that, which is amazing. So I do get some printed off sometimes and I find them really valuable. I stick them in my sketchbook or my scrapbook, and that's a really good thing to do as well. Now, if you can hear any shuffling kind of noises when I'm talking, it's because I'll let you into a little bit of behind the scenes here. I don't actually have anywhere in the house to record my voice that's a good spot. So I'm actually sat under a duvet now and it is boiling. So that's a little bit of behind the scenes. So the sound's not as echoey. So I'm just using some gouache on this point to paint some leaves. And what I really love about painting is you start off and you think, this is good. Then you get to the point and you think, oh my God, what have I done? It's terrible. And then you get to the next point if you keep pursuing and pushing through and you go, wow, I love it. And I did this painting and when I finished it, I really loved it. And then I went to bed. And the next morning I got up and I thought, oh my gosh, what if I go and look at the painting and it's rubbish? And then I came into the studio and I was like, oh my God, it's actually lovely. I really love it. So I'll stop talking for now and I encourage you to pause this video. Go and get yourself some paper, some pens or even a biro and just start doodling. Just create. Oh, look what's arrived. The new winter zines. How lovely are these? This is issue 3. These are going to be the last winter zines that I make in this format. Look. Oh, it's always such a joy when they arrive from the printers. So these winter zines are my 57th and 58th zine that I've made. I've been a zine maker for 9 years, and I made one zine 9 years ago and then didn't do anything for years. And then just before lockdown, I started making them again. So since then, I've 58 zines. That's crazy. And these will be the last ones in this format. So I've done 3 years now of seasonal zines, spring, summer, autumn, winter. And I've pretty much done what I can with them. So this is the last time they'll be in this format. And from now on, I will be doing other zines. So these are available on my Etsy. They're very limited. There's only 25 available. So if you do want one, pop over to my Etsy, which is Dotty Delightful, and get these. And these are issue 3. So the last ones of the year. And the year ahead, I've got lots of plans for different zines that I'll be making. I'm not going to share any of them with you because I want them all to be a surprise. But if you've not been over to my Etsy or to my website, some of the zines that I've already made are on there and you'll be able to see them.